Hello? I guess if I hit start stream, that kind of helps, huh? I've got some spooky music. Hello, hello. Woo! Alright, I'm gonna try something a little different this time around. I think I'm not gonna use any avatars just because it might take away from the ambiance of the scary stories. I'm not sure. Do you want to see my face or no? Well, I could also just like put up a PNG. Show face. Alright, the people have spoken. Give me a minute to open this program because I didn't have it open. Why didn't I have it open? Put up a PNG. Aha! Haha! Silly thing. All of my PNGs are evil because I am evil. I'm evil, okay? I've always been. We're gonna go with this one. Why not? I'm feeling this one. Let's see. I'm too big. Ha! Okay. PNG is the evil format, but JPEG can't be transparent, and it's harder to work in JPEG. Alright, I guess I'm here now. I still feel like it takes away from the scary ambiance. Yeah, you see my game here? This is my creepy little background. I got some creepy background. I got a creepy music. So, we're ready for this now. Okay. Yeah, see? Fang understands. Also, the chat is not here. I can't figure out how to get it back up. So, you know. I'm so good at this. I have some tea. There's your ASMR. Okay. So, in Token Rambu... Oh. I need to set my 1 minute. I'll keep talking while I do this, though. In Token Rambu, there's an event going on. So, I'll be working on the event. But because it's kind of a game that's, not really interactive, I guess, I wanted to do something else. So I figured it'd be easy to maybe make it like a chatting stream, but it'd be more fun to do like a storytelling stream. So, is my lip sync on? Okay, we're good to go. A lostier version of JPEG. The nerds are in the chat today. Okay. Let's see. I started the event, but I haven't done much. However, I really want Tadahiro, so I only have a week left. I hope that's enough time. Wait, someone ranked up? Oh. I haven't opened up Token Rambu at all today, so I don't even know who this guy is. But congratulations! How is everyone doing this evening? Or whatever time it is for you. I was busy all day. All day. And it's just, isn't it fun? Yes, we are, Rat, but not everyone is. We are in the same time zone. In fact, we're in the same room. I'm right behind you. Look out. Everyone should move to California, except I think it's expensive. Apparently everyone's moving out of California. Or whatever. At least that's what everyone says. That's all I hear from the chatter at work. Everyone's leaving. Just... let's just go to the event. What team am I using? Okay, I'm using team 4. We've got Mika-chan as the leader. Yukimitsu, Ishikiri. Some kind of noise behind me. Scared the hell out of me. Don't know what that is. Okay. Oh! Hi, hello! We're telling scary stories, and I'm hearing scary noises in my room. And we got Tomoe and Nikari. Alright, they're gonna go. And ow! So am I. Welcome to my chat. This guy's so pretty. Hi. I don't think I need to do anything yet. Oh, I do. We're gonna just charge straight forward. And you want to defeat the boss as fast as possible. Alright, I already bookmarked some stories to read. I'm gonna read some classics and some of my favorites. I think the first one we should start with is the one that used to scare me the most as a kid, which was The Haunted House. Now, I actually don't remember if the story itself is scary, but the illustration is the scary thing. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull that right up. Warning, it's very scary. I closed my tab. Give me 1 second. Honestly, I think the scariest part of this book was just the images. Everyone has their one that scared the most, right? Well, big warning, very scary. I do not like this image. Do not like this image a lot. I had an image. Oh. It's this one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's about the limit for how much I can look at that. So I actually have a paper in my book and it's folded over the illustration. That's how scary it is still. Or maybe I'm just a baby. Anyway. Okay. One time a preacher went to see if he could put a haunt to rest at a house in his settlement. The house had been haunted for about 10 years. Several people had tried to stay there all night, but they would always get scared out by the haunt. So this preacher took his Bible and went to the house, went on in, built himself a good fire and lit a lamp, sat there reading the Bible. Wait, where are you going? I'm trying to read a story here and he's doing stuff. Oh, he's setting traps. See, this is how you should take care of ghosts, right? Set traps. Then, just before midnight, he heard something start up in the cellar, walking back and forth, back and forth. Then it sounded like somebody was trying to scream and got choked off. Then there was a lot of thrashing around and struggling, and finally, everything got quiet. The old preacher took up his Bible again, but before he could start reading, he heard footsteps coming up the cellar stairs. He sat watching the door to the cellar, and the footsteps kept coming closer and closer. He saw the doorknob turn, and when the door began to open, he jumped up and hollered, "What do you want?" The door shut back easy-like, and there wasn't a sound. The preacher was trembling a little, but he finally opened the Bible and read a while. Then he got up and laid the book on the chair and went to mending the fire. Then the haunt started walking again, and step, step, step up the cellar stairs. The old preacher sat watching the door, saw the doorknob turn, and the door open. It looked like a young woman. He backed up and said, "Who are you? What do you want?" The haunt sort of swayed like she didn't know what to do, and then she just faded out. The old preacher waited and waited, and when he didn't hear any more noises, he went over and shut the door. He was sweating and trembling all over, but he was a brave man, and he thought he'd be able to see it through. So he turned his chair to where he could watch, and he sat down and waited. It wasn't long before the haunt started up again, slowly. Step, 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 closer and closer, step, step, and it was right at the door. The preacher stood up and held his Bible out before him. Then the knob slowly turned, and the door opened wide. This time the preacher spoke quiet-like. He said, "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, who are you and what do you want?" The haunt came right across the room, straight to him, and took a hold of his coat. It was a young woman about 20 years old. Her hair was torn and tangled, the flesh was dropping off her face, and he could see the bones and part of her teeth. She had no eyeballs, but there was sort of a blue light way back in her eye sockets, and she had no nose to her face. Then she started talking. It sounded like her voice was coming and going with the wind blowing it. She told how her lover had killed her for money and buried her in the cellar. She said if the preacher would dig up her bones and bury her properly, she could rest. Then she told him to take the end joint of the little finger from her left hand and lay it in the collection plate at the church the next meeting, and he'd find out who had murdered her. And she said, "If you come back here once more after that, you'll hear my voice at midnight, and I'll tell you where my money is hid, and you can give it all to the church." The haunt sobbed like she was tired, and she sunk down toward the floor and was gone. The preacher found her bones and buried them in the graveyard. The next Sunday, the preacher put the finger bone in the collection plate, and when a certain man happened to touch it, it stuck to his hand. The man jumped up and rubbed and scraped and tore at that bone, trying to get it off. Then he went to screaming like he was going crazy. Well, he confessed to the murder, and they took him on to jail. After the man was hung, the preacher went back to the house one midnight, and the haunt's voice told him to dig under the hearthrug, and he did. He found a big sack of money, and where that haunt had held onto his coat, the print of those bony fingers was burned right into the cloth. It never did come out. And that's the haunted house. I was right. It's not really scary. It's just an illustration. It's kind of like a sad story, really. Look at him. Isn't he cute? Alright, that's the haunted house. Oh yeah, my credits. Scary stories to tell in the dark. Collected from folklore and retold by Alvin Schwartz. The drawings by Stefan Gamel. Book of my childhood. Beautiful. Oh, you know what? They've got voices. I guess I'll unmute so you can hear the voices. Here's your tea ASMR. You want some tea? I've got Earl Grey. I've got matcha. I've got this orange one that I don't know what it is. I've got ginger root tea. I got tea to help your tummy. I got all sorts of tea. I'll make you some tea. Mystery tea. I just go outside, I grab a bunch of random leaves, and I boil it, and we'll see what it tastes like. I have mint, actually. Maybe mystery mint, and whatever garbage I can find. So we gotta set traps. Okay. I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just gonna roll the dice and click the button, and they're gonna fight. Okay, I'm gonna read another one of my favorites. We're going to the section that's called... One second. Other dangers. Most of the scary stories in this book have been passed down over the years, but the ones in this chapter have been told only in recent times. They're stories that young people often tell about the dangers we face in our lives today. I have to read this one because memes. My V-Word model keeps getting stuck. It's never done that before. Hold on. What's going on? Why are you doing that? It's like stuck. Alright, I'm gonna move that for a bit. Okay, there you go. It's haunted now. It very well might be. Actually, before I tell the next scary story, I have another ghostly encounter at work, I guess. I'm gonna call them that. To say. This one, I really also don't have an explanation for it. So I work in a big old grocery store, and I usually work in the mornings, and on some days I work all by myself pretty much in a big old grocery store. It's huge. It's a really big store. And I'm pretty sure it's haunted. Like, big haunted. Okay, so we've got these auto lights that come on, and at the time where I'm working, the lights will only turn on if it senses motion. They're never just on. They don't turn on until like 6 a.m. I think. But it's 4 a.m. They are not supposed to be on unless someone is there. They recently remodeled the back room a bit, so I now work in like the very last aisle, but there's like a half aisle next to me that you can't reach unless you go through my aisle that I work in usually. I went back there and did my work. I left for enough for the auto lights to turn off. I was doing well, it doesn't matter what I was doing, but I went out and I went to the floor and I was taking stock. It's a boring explanation. But when I came back, the lights were off like they're supposed to, except in the half aisle, where you can only reach if you go through my aisle, meaning you would have to trigger the auto lights in my aisle too. The lights were on in the half aisle, and they are only motion triggered, and I was the only one back there, and I hadn't gone back there onto the half aisle at all, so those lights shouldn't have triggered. I didn't trigger them. I don't know who did, but yeah, bit creepy. And they can't be triggered by something as small as like a bug or a rat, because we do have those. Sometimes the lights won't even register for me. Sometimes I have to get up on the ladder and then like wave my arms in front of it to get to the trigger. It's so annoying. I'm not like short or small or anything. Technology just hates me. But anyways, yeah, that was the ghostly encounter of the week. And I might be able to get up close and personal with more. Rat says that I'm short and small to her. Rat, I'm gonna attack you. More, no! Everybody's ganging up on me. I'm not tiny. Denying the short allegations for now. As I was saying, apparently the ghost activity picks up more during the Halloween season, and they like to play with the Halloween decorations a lot. And they just moved the seasonal section directly next to the section I work at, which is stationery. So I will be right next to Halloween. I will maybe get to see more stuff. I mean, don't know if I want to. But I do want to, you know? It's like, I love it, because I've always loved scary stuff. But also, it's like, I'm all alone in the back room and there's nowhere to run. Alright. You're not ganging up on me, you're just correct. I'm glad that the chat is not gonna stay on this VOD because I'm being bullied. I'm gonna drink some tea. Hold on. Drink my oida. Yeah, it keeps freezing up today. It stares at you. Alright, it's a battle. Again, this one is purely for the memes. Donald and Sarah went to the movies. It's Sarah with the H, though, so kind of mid. They went for a ride in Donald's car. They parked up on a hill at the edge of town. From there, they could see the lights up and down the valley. Donald turned on the radio and found some music, but the announcer broke in with a news bulletin. A murderer had escaped from the state prison. He was armed with a knife and was headed south on foot. His left hand was missing, and in its place, he wore a hook. "Let's roll up the windows and lock the doors," said Sarah. "That's a good idea," said Donald. "That prison isn't too far away," said Sarah. "Maybe we really should go home." "But it's only 10 o'clock, said Donald. "I don't care what time it is," she said. "I want to go home." "Look, Sarah," said Donald, "he's not going to climb all the way up here. Why would he do that? Even if he did, all the doors are locked. How could he get in?" "Donald, he could take that hook and break through a window and open the door. I'm scared and I want to go home," she said. Donald was annoyed. "Girls are always afraid of something," he said. As he started the car, Sarah thought she heard something or someone scratching at the door. Can you hear that scratching? "Did you hear that?" she asked as they roared away. "It sounded like somebody was trying to get in." "Oh, sure," said Donald. Soon they got to her house. "Would you like to come in and have some cocoa?" she asked. "Nah," he said. "I've got to go home." He went around to the other side of the car to let her out, and hanging on the door handle was a hook. Man, door, hand, hook, car door. Yeah, I had to do that one for the meme. Hey, that's the story that I would like always tell at sleepovers too. That one and like La Llorona and the like Bloody Fingers one. He's so cute. Alright, let's use another dice. Die? We'll go this way. I don't know if I should take more spaces or less spaces to get to the boss. Oh well. Alright, the next one is from the same chapter section. A young man invited a young woman to a formal dance. But she was very poor, and she could not afford to buy the evening gown she needed for such an occasion. "Maybe you can rent a dress," her mother said. So she went to a pawn shop not far from where she lived. There she found a white satin evening gown in her size. She looked lovely in it, and she was able to rent it for very little. When she arrived at the dance with her friend, she was so attractive, everyone wanted to meet her. She danced again and again, and was having a wonderful time. But she began to feel dizzy and faint. She asked her friend to take her home. "I think I've danced too much," she told him. But when she got home, she lay down on her bed. The next morning her mother found that her daughter had died. The doctor did not understand what caused her death, so he had the coroner perform an autopsy. The coroner found that she had been poisoned by embalming fluid. It stopped her blood from flowing. There were traces of the fluid on her dress. He decided it had entered the skin when she perspired while she was dancing. The pawnbroker admitted that he bought the dress from an undertaker's helper. It had been used in a funeral for another young woman, and the helper had stolen it just before she was buried. Ba-bam! And that's that one. Oh, the boss is moving? back here. Okay, you have to go hunt him down. That's fun. Alright. We're gonna go for a funnier one now. This chapter... I have been saying the name titles right. This one's called Aaron Kelly's Bones. Aaron Kelly was dead. They bought him a coffin and had a funeral and buried him. But that night, he got out of his coffin, and he came home. His family was sitting around the fire when he walked in. He sat down next to his widow, and he said, "What's going on? You all act like somebody died. Who died?" His widow said, "You did." "I don't feel dead," he said. "I feel fine." "You don't look fine," his widow said. "You look dead. You better get back to the grave where you belong." "I'm not going back to the grave until I feel dead," he said. Since Aaron wouldn't go back, his widow couldn't collect his life insurance, and without that, she couldn't pay for his coffin, and the undertaker said he would take it back. Aaron didn't care. He just sat by the fire, rocking in a chair and warming his hands and feet. But my first stutter, not bad. But his joints were dry and his back was stiff, and every time he moved, he creaked and cracked. One night, the best fiddler in town came to court the widow. Since Aaron was dead, the fiddler wanted to marry her, and the two of them sat... I click button. The two of them sat on one side of the fire, and Aaron sat on the other, creaking and cracking. "How long do we have to put up with this dead corpse?" the widow asked. "Something must be done," the fiddler said. "Well, this isn't very jolly," Aaron said. "Let's dance." The fiddler got out his fiddle and began to play. Aaron stretched himself, shook himself, got up, took a step or two, and began to dance. With his old bones rattling, and his yellow teeth snapping, and his bald head wagging, and his arms flip-flopping around and around he went. His long legs clicking and his knee bones knocking, he skipped and pranced around the room. How that dead man danced! But pretty soon a bone worked loose and fell to the floor. "Look at that," said the fiddler. "Play faster," said the widow. And so the fiddler played faster. Crickety-crack, down and back, the dead man went hopping, and his dry bones kept dropping. This way, that way, the pieces just kept popping. "Play, man, play!" cried the widow. The fiddler fiddled, and the dead Aaron danced. Then Aaron fell apart and collapsed into a pile of bones, all except his bald head bone that grinned at the fiddler, cracked its teeth, and kept dancing. "Look at that!" groaned the fiddler. "Play louder!" cried the widow. "Ho, ho!" said the head bone. "Ain't we having fun?" The fiddler couldn't stand it. "Widow," he said, "I'm going home." And he never came back. The family gathered up Aaron's bones and put them back in the coffin. They mixed them up so that he couldn't fit them together. After that, Aaron stayed in his grave. But his widow never did get married again. Aaron had seen to that. What a bastard. Look, if a man dies, he ought to stay dead. Looking at you, vampires. So, what do these traps do? If the boss happens to land on a trap, then he gets stuck, right? And then we can catch him. Alright then, I guess it is better to hit as many spaces as possible. Though right now, I think I got him cornered. Let's see. Oh, here's another classic that's like definitely sleepover worthy. It's called Room for One More. A man named Joseph Blackwell came to Philadelphia on a business trip. He stayed with friends in the big house that they owned outside the city. That night they had a good time visiting, but when Blackwell went to bed, he tossed and turned and couldn't sleep. Sometime during the night, he heard a car turn into the driveway. He went to the window to see who was arriving at such a late hour, and in the moonlight, he saw a long black hearse filled with people. The driver of the hearse looked up to him, and when Blackwell saw his hideous face, he shuddered. The driver called to him, "There's room for one more." Then he waited for a minute or two, and he drove off. In the morning, Blackwell told his friends what had happened. "You were dreaming," they said. "I must have been," he said, "but it didn't seem like a dream." After breakfast, he went into Philadelphia. He spent the day high above the city in one of the new office buildings there. And late in the afternoon, he was waiting for an elevator to take him back down to the street. But when it arrived, it was very crowded. One of the passengers looked out and called to him. "There's room for one more," he said. It was the driver of the hearse. "No thanks," said Blackwell. "I'll get the next one." The doors closed and the elevator started down. Suddenly, there was shrieking and screaming, and then the sound of a crash. The elevator had fallen to the bottom of the shaft, and everyone aboard was killed. Ba-ba! Probably shouldn't make a cheer sound after everyone was killed, but ta-da! I like that one a lot. I used to read it all the time. This guy is really getting past me, huh? I'm gonna grab the third book. I have the first and the second, but I do not have the... No, I have the first and the third, but I don't have the second. I swear I bought a new copy of it when the movie came out, but I can't find it anywhere. Sad. No. I'm looking at my bookshelf over here. I wanted to read some real life ghost stories, but I'm having trouble finding some good ones, and I don't want to just steal someone's original story. I want to find real eyewitness accounts of real hauntings. But the website that I used to use, FAVE, I will always miss you, love you forever. It's down. It's been down for years. But that was the one I used to go to every single day. Hold on, I'm gonna drink some. Alright, stay hydrated, my friends. I don't know what's the weather like for everyone, but here it's very hot. Triple digits every day. Every day this week. Gotta love it. My outfits are just getting... I'm trying to decide if I want to say this. Yeah, I'm gonna say this. My outfits just get sluttier and sluttier by the day. Today was quite nice, but I didn't get to enjoy it because I was running around doing errands all day. So I got hot and sweaty against my will. My babiest of sisters, she's in kindergarten now. Well, her first day of kindergarten was this week. Kind of exciting. But she does this really annoying thing where she just screams in public. She's not sad or upset or happy, she just screams. Gotta love babies, gotta love kids, gotta love children. Little bastards. And then she makes you carry her sometimes, even though she's got 2 legs. Girl, I know you can walk. Alright, this one's super short. Less than a page. But it always used to freak me out. I cannot barbecue the babies. I don't even eat meat, and if I did, I would never eat toddler meat because it just sounds gross. They're always covered in something. They're always sticky. Oh, there was an enemy there? Okay. And we're gonna read The Red Spot. Oh wait, I misread Moore's message. Use the children for kindling. Oh, much better. Use them to start the fire. I don't know how flammable toddlers are. It's okay, this is a scary story stream, so I'm allowed to say something morbid like that. The red spot. Let's read the red spot and not talk about barbecuing children. The red spot. While Ruth slept, a spider crawled across her face. It stopped for several minutes on her left cheek and then went on its way. "What is that red spot on my cheek?" she asked her mother the next evening. "It looks like a spider bite," her mother said. "It'll go away, just don't scratch it." Soon the small red spot grew into a small red boil. "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It's getting bigger. It's sore." "That sometimes happens," her mother said. "It's coming to a head." In a few days, the boil was even larger. "Look at it now," Ruth said. "It hurts and it's ugly." "We'll have the doctor look at it," her mother said. "Maybe it's infected." But the doctor could not see Ruth until the next day. That night, Ruth took a hot bath. As she soaked herself, the boil burst. Out poured a swarm of tiny spiders from the eggs their mother had laid in her cheek. I am not afraid of bugs. Well, most bugs. I'm not afraid of spiders anyways. But the idea of something getting under your skin? Ew. Bees. Honestly, bees is not any better, but bees don't lay eggs like that. Spiders are friends. There's only a few bugs that I'm not friends with, and that's cockroaches, because we have a long feud, and crickets, because we also have a long feud. I like crickets, just not when they're, swarming my house. Okay. He's really running away. Come on back. You have my sword. That's alright. We'll get him. Oh yes. Chickens love dried crickets, and so do lizards. Big alligator lizards. I used to get dried crickets and I'd peel them apart with tweezers and feed them to my babies. So cute. And when they eat them, they make a crunchy sound. It's so cute. Lizards. Yes. I'm so sad. I haven't had a lizard in years. Every time after work I stop by the pet store because it's right next door, and I just look at the little lizards. They're so cute. I think though the next pet, when I'm able to, right now I'm definitely not able to have a pet like that, I'd want to have a snake. Maybe a ball python. They're just so cute. I love their little mouths. Getting a cup of live crickets in a drawer in the main office. That is a legendary senior prank. I love that senior prank. Oh! And then they infested the building. That is a really good senior prank. Yes. I love reptiles. They're cute. Oh, today, when I came home from shopping, the little cat that hangs around outside was loafing directly next to what I thought was a lizard corpse. And I was all sad. And I was like, oh my god, the cat killed the lizard, and now she's just bragging about it. But I distracted the cat for 1 second, and the lizard skittered off. I saved his life. He was so tiny. But it was kind of funny because she was chilling, and I guess the lizard was just sitting there, so it looked like they were kind of hanging out together. His tail was off though, so I'm pretty sure she was trying to kill him. But he got away. He's okay. And the little baby cat is back inside the house where she belongs. I did not steal the cat's food. The cat doesn't need to eat lizards. It ruins the ecosystem. And I like lizards and I don't want them to get eaten by cats. The cat has kibble. We buy her kibble. We buy her kibbles and wet food. There's perfectly good food for her inside the house. She doesn't need to go outside and kill things. That's not right. And when cats kill lizards, do they even eat them? No, they just kill them and leave them there, and then you have to pick up the little guy and bury him. I will not stand for it anymore. Alright, next story. Oh, I guess I should, move ahead. I'm going to read The Bus Stop. Ed was driving home from work in a rainstorm. While he waited for a traffic light to change, he saw a young woman standing alone at a bus stop. She had no umbrella and was soaking wet. "Are you going toward Farmington?" he called. "Yes, I am," she said. "Would you like a ride home?" "I would," she said, and she got in. "My name is Joanna. Thank you for rescuing me." "And I'm Ed," he said. "And you're welcome." On the way home, they talked and talked. She told him about her family and her job and where she had gone to school, and he told her about himself as well. By the time they got to her house, the rain had stopped. "I'm glad it rained," Ed said. "Would you like to go out tomorrow after work?" "I'd love to," Joanna said. She asked him to meet her at the bus stop, since it was near her office. They had such a good time. They went out many times after that. Always they would meet at the bus stop, and off they would go. Ed liked her more and more each time he saw her. But one night, when they had a date to go out, Joanna did not appear. Ed waited at the bus stop for almost an hour. Maybe something is wrong, he thought, and he drove to her house in Farmington. An older woman came to the door. "I'm Ed," he said. "Maybe Joanna told you about me? I had a date with her tonight. We were supposed to meet at the bus stop near her office, but she didn't show up. Is she all right?" The woman looked at him as if he had said something strange. "I am Joanna's mother," she said slowly. "Joanna isn't here now. Why don't you come in?" Ed pointed to a picture on the mantel. "That looks just like her," he said. "It did once," her mother replied. "But that picture was taken when she was your age, about 20 years ago. A few days later, she was waiting in the rain at a bus stop. A car hit her and she was killed." Ba 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 ba! That's that one. I like that one because it's a little bit different from the usual, like, ghostly hitchhiker story that's very popular. Everyone who's Chicano knows about the ghostly hitchhiker. Everyone who's Mexican, not just Mexican, but like all of South America has that story. But this one was different because he like went on dates with her and stuff. Like they had like a thing going on, and then just suddenly she's dead. Well, I mean, not suddenly because she died a long time ago. But imagine being ghosted like that, man. Okay, reading Rat's message here. When your cat caught the things, were the things injured though? But thank you more. I know you'd appreciate my joke. Honestly, if I had found out that someone that I was seeing was a ghost, I think that would just make the relationship a lot more interesting, you know? I just tried to click on OBS instead of the game. Where is the guy? There he is. Hey, come back. Come on over here. He just like went full circle, huh? Alright. Oh, I finally got a not small number. Let's go get him. This is trickier than I thought. Now I see why they give you so much time for this event. Alright, I'm gonna read another classic, because I have to read the classics. This one is Harold. Wait, first I'm gonna drink some tea. When it got hot in the valley, Thomas and Alfred drove their cows up to a cool green pasture in the mountains to graze. Usually they stayed there with the cows for 2 months. Then they brought them down to the valley again. The work was easy enough, but oh, was it boring. All day the two men tended their cows. At night they went back to the tiny hut where they lived. Are they like friends? They ate supper and worked in the garden and went to sleep. It was always the same. Then Thomas had an idea that changed everything. "Let's make a doll the size of a man," he said. "It'd be fun to make, and we could put it in the garden to scare away the birds." "It should look like Harold," Alfred said. Harold was a farmer they both hated. They made the doll out of old sacks stuffed with straw. They gave it a pointy nose like Harold's and tiny eyes like his. Then they added dark hair and a twisted frown. Of course, they also gave it Harold's name. Each morning on their way to the pasture, they tied Harold to a pole in the garden to scare away the birds. Each night, they brought him inside so that he wouldn't get ruined if it rained. When they were feeling playful, they would talk to him. One of them might say, "How are the vegetables growing today, Harold?" And the other, making believe he was Harold, would answer in a crazy voice, very slowly. They both would laugh, but not Harold. Whenever something went wrong, they took it out on Harold. They would curse at him, even kick him or punch him. Sometimes one of them would take the food they were eating, which they were both sick of, and smear it on the doll's face. "How do you like that stew, Harold?" he would ask. "Well, you better eat it or else." And then the two men would howl with laughter. One night, after Thomas had wiped Harold's face with food, Harold grunted. Did you hear that?" Alfred asked. "It was Harold," Thomas said. "I was watching him when it happened. I can't believe it." "How could he grunt?" Alfred asked. "He's just a sack of straw. It's not possible." Let's throw him in the fire," said Thomas, "and that will be that." "Let's not do anything stupid," Alfred said. "We don't know what's going on. When we move the cows down, we'll leave him behind. For now, let's just keep an eye on him." So they left Harold sitting in a corner of the hut. They didn't talk to him or take him outside anymore. Now and then the doll grunted, but that was all. After a few days, they decided there was nothing to be afraid of. Maybe a mouse or some insects had gotten inside Harold, and they were making those sounds. So Thomas and Alfred went back to their old ways. Each morning they put Harold out in the garden, and each night they brought him back into the hut. When they felt playful, they joked with him. When they felt mean, they treated him as badly as ever. Then one night, Alfred noticed something that frightened him. "Harold is growing," he said. "I was thinking the same thing," Thomas said. "Maybe it's just our imagination," Alfred replied. "We have been up here on this mountain too long." The next morning, while they were eating, Harold stood up and walked out of the hut. He climbed up on the roof and trotted back and forth like a horse on its hind legs. All day and all night long he trotted like that. In the morning, Harold climbed down and stood in a far corner of the pasture. The men had no idea what he would do next. They were afraid. They decided to take the cows down into the valley that same day. When they left, Harold was nowhere in sight. They felt as if they had escaped a great danger and began joking and singing. But when they had gone only a mile or two, they realized they forgot to bring the milking stools. Neither one of them wanted to go back for them, but the stools would cost a lot to replace. "There really is nothing to be afraid of," they told one another. "After all, what could a doll do?" They drew straws to see which one would go back. It was Thomas. "I'll catch up with you," he said, and Alfred walked on toward the valley. When Alfred came to a rise in the pass, he looked back for Thomas, but he did not see him anywhere. But he did see Harold. The doll was on the roof of the hut again. As Alfred watched, Harold kneed and stretched a bloody skin to dry in the sun. Okay, that one was a fair bit creepier. I like that one a lot too. Gotta love creepy dolls. So this is a gentle reminder that if you create something, you should treat it well. Because it might not treat you well in return. Speaking of, I was just thinking recently that I want to make a creepy puppet. I'm stuck again. There we go. Harold is always really good. For Halloween, I want to make a pumpkin head for Headless Horseman. Because we all decided we wanted to be some kind of creature. My mom wants to be a banshee. And I'm going to be Headless Horseman, Dullahan. And we're going to force my little brother to be... what's it called again? Excuse me while I Google this. I do believe it's called A selkie? Yeah, see, I was just thinking, I'm gonna be a headless horseman without a horse. A selkie is the seal, right? Then maybe not a selkie. Yeah, the seal. The seals are selkies. They're half... Wow. I think it's kelpie that I'm thinking of. Yeah, a kelpie. That's what I'm thinking of. So, they're shapeshifters. It's Scottish folklore. We're picking from my mom's heritage. She wanted to do a creepy Irish creature. So she's doing banshee. Ah, yes! Selkies are basically seal people, similar to mermaids. Yes, it's that one. When they come out of the water, they can take off their fur coats. And if someone steals the coat, they're stuck on land. Why would you do that? I read quite a few stories where a selkie and a human would be in a relationship, and then the man would find out that she was a selkie, and he would steal the coat, so she'd be forced to stay with him. That's the story that I heard, like, growing up. And then there's the kelpie. The version I heard was you would see a beautiful horse in the water, and when you got close to it and pet it, your hand would get stuck in its mane, and then it would drag you in and drown you. We're gonna make a costume based off that. Woohoo. Well, that's what they want to do, but really, in my heart, I want to be the Flatwoods monster again. Well, I could be the Flatwoods any day of the year, because I have the head made already. I would love to, like, just go out dressed in my creepy costume and just wander around the streets. But, the people around here ain't very nice, so I don't think I would survive. Yes. Celtic creatures. I was trying to think of the word Celtic, yeah. I think the banshee one's gonna be really fun to make. I love a creepy lady. I love creepy, scary ladies. Moore can hook you up with an IRL horse, and she can hook you up with an IRL kelpie. You take Horse Girl to a whole new level, and I love it. I love you. Alright, let's see. I've got... I could read Bloody Fingers. That one's funny too. I kind of wanted to read another scarier one. Alright, so this one's called The Dead Hand. The village huddled on the edge of a vast swamp. As far as one could see, there were soggy meadows. Soggy meadows. Holes filled with black water and glistening sheets of wet, spongy peat. Speaking of kelpies, look at that. Skeletons of giant trees, snags, the people called them, rose up out of the muck, their dead branches reaching out like long, twisted arms. Me just don't. During the day, the men in the village cut the peat and hauled it home to dry and sell for fuel. But when the sun went down and the wind, sighing and moaning, came in from the sea, the men were quick to leave. Strange creatures took over the swamp at night, and some even came into the village. That's what everyone said, anyways. People were so afraid they would not go out alone after dark. Young Tom Pattison was the only person in the village who did not believe in these creatures. On his way home from work, he'd whisper to his friends, "There's one!" And they would jump and run, and Tom would laugh and laugh. Finally, some of his friends turned on him. "If you know so much," they said, "go back into the swamp some night and see what comes of it." "I'll do it," said Tom. "I work out there every day. Not once have I ever seen anything to frighten me. Why should it be different at night? Tomorrow night, I'll take my lantern, walk out to the willow snag, and if I get scared and run, I'll never make fun of you again." The next night, the men went to Tom Pattison's house to see him on his way. Thick clouds covered the moon. It was the blackest of nights. When they arrived, Tom's mother was pleading with him not to go. "It'll be all right," he said. "There's nothing to be afraid of. Don't be foolish like the rest." He took his lantern and, singing to himself, headed down the spongy path towards the willow snag. Some of the young men wondered if Tom wasn't right. Maybe they were afraid of things that did not exist. A few decided to follow him and see for themselves, but they stayed far behind in case he ran into any trouble. Great friends you got there, Tom. 1 second. They were sure they saw dark shapes moving about, but Tom's lantern kept bobbing up and down, and Tom's songs kept floating back to them, and nothing happened. Finally, they caught sight of the willow snag. There was Tom, standing in a circle of light, looking this way and that. All of a sudden, the wind blew out his lantern, and Tom stopped singing. The men stood stock still in the blackness, waiting for something awful to happen. The clouds shifted, and the moon came out, and there was Tom again. Only now he had his back pushed up against the willow snag, and he had his arms out in front of him as if he were fighting something off. From where the men stood, it looked like the dark shapes were swirling in around him. The clouds covered the moon again, and once more it was pitch as black. Black as pitch. Pretend I said that right. When the moon came out again, Tom was hanging on to the willow snag with one arm. His other arm was stretched out in front of him, as if something was pulling it. It looked to the men as if a rotting, moldy hand with no arm, a dead hand, had grabbed Tom's hand. With one final wrench, whatever had hold of Tom jerked him into the muck. That's what the men said. When the clouds blotted out the moon once more, the men turned and ran through the blackness towards the village. Again and again they lost the path and fell into the muck and water holes. In the end they crawled back on their hands and knees, but Tom Pattison was not with them. In the morning, the people searched everywhere for Tom. Finally, they gave him up for lost. A few weeks later, toward evening, the villagers heard a cry. It was Tom's mother. She was rushing down the path from the swamp, shouting and waving. When she was sure the villagers had spotted her, she turned and ran back. Off they went after her. They found young Tom Pattison by the willow snag, groaning and gibbering as if he had lost his mind. He kept pointing with one hand and something only he could see. Where his other hand should have been, there was nothing but a ragged stump oozing blood. The hand had been ripped clean off. Nobody said it was the dead hand that had done it, but nobody really knows. Nobody will ever know except Tom Pattison, and he never spoke another word ever again. Ba-ba-ba-ba. I have no idea what to say after I finish the story. Can you tell? Ta-da! I like that one a lot too. The first volume has like a lot of short stories, but the third volume has a few that are pages full. So that's kind of neat. I have one called Footsteps. I think in another future stream like this, I would like to read some creepypastas. Maybe some that are like ones I remember reading as a kid. Except creepypastas always have some kind of a gory element to them usually. And I would not like to read about someone being eviscerated. Or read it out loud anyways. So maybe I'll edit them out. Oh, I have no dice. Can I buy dice? I can't. Oh. I have a lucky 7 die. I have 2 of them. Alright, I guess I'll just do this a few more times. So, I'm going to read Footsteps. But I'm just looking real quick to see what else I had. I read that one. Okay, so from book 3 I have one more story. From book 1. Okay, I'm going to read this one from book 1 first, and then I will read that one. just to switch it up, give myself a shorter story to read. I'm gonna take another sip of my tea. If you have a water, you drink the water, okay? And we'll just move forward. Hello? My model's stuck again. Why does it keep doing that today? It's never done that before, not once, ever. Very funny. I hope that my home is not haunted because I live here. This is where I live. Don't be haunted. Actually, I really don't want to, like, talk about it because I feel like talking about it might bring it forward. But, so, like, the other night, my brother, Damos, he went to hand me something. I don't remember what it was. And he said that he felt my hand grab it, but it fell to the floor, and I did not grab it because my hands are full. But he definitely felt a hand grab it and pull it from his. So that's why he let go. Yeah. And it's in the same corner that I had a very freaky sleep paralysis experience that I will talk about after this story. Oh, sleep paralysis stories. I guess I could talk about that because I have too many. Too many. Sleep paralysis isn't really paranormal, but it's creepy enough, I guess. Some people think it is, but I'm not so sure. I get it so often, but I have a lot of sleep disorder issues anyway, so maybe it's just with that. Alright, this one's called High Beams. The girl driving the old blue sedan was a senior at the high school. You know, the language in the first book is really simple too. But the third book, the language gets more a bit complex. I like it because it's like, well, they're for children, so of course they're like that. But I have like a very bad reading level, so it's good for me too. Conclusion, children are worse than haunting. Ghosts are cool, children are not. I'm reading the chat real quick. There are so many kids in this house. There are so many children in this house, and honestly, you'd think that with all these kids being loud, there wouldn't be any room for a ghost or two, but here we are. I mean, if I was a ghost, and the household had like a bajillion people, I'd say, maybe I'll try the next one. I don't get why my house is haunted, because the one next door, the guy actually died in there. I don't think anyone's died here. Don't think about it. High beams. The girl driving the old blue sedan was a senior at the high school. She lived on a farm about 8 miles away and used her car to drive back and forth. She'd driven into town that night to see a basketball game, and now she was on her way home. As she pulled away from her school, she noticed a red pickup truck following her out of the parking lot. A few minutes later, the truck was still behind her. I guess we're going the same direction, she thought. She began to watch the truck in her mirror. When she changed her speed, the driver of the truck changed his speed. When she passed a car, so did he. Then he turned on his high beams, flooding her car with light. He left them on for almost a minute. He probably wants to pass me, she thought, but she was becoming uneasy. Usually she drove home over a back road. Not too many people went that way, but when she turned on that road, so did the truck. I've got to get away from him, she thought, and she began to drive faster. Then he turned his high beams on again. After a minute, he turned them off, and then he turned them on again and off again. She drove even faster, but the truck driver stayed right behind her. When he turned his high beams on again, once more her car was ablaze with light. What is he doing, she wondered. What does he want? Then he turned them off again, but a minute later he had them on again and left them on. At last she pulled into her driveway, and the truck pulled in right behind her. She jumped from her car and ran into the house. "Call the police," she screamed to her father. Out in the driveway, she could see the driver of the truck. He had a gun in his hand. When the police arrived, they started to arrest him. But he pointed to the girl's car. "You don't want me. You want him," he said. Crouched behind the driver's seat, there was a man with a knife. As the driver of the truck explained it, the man slipped into the girl's car just before she left the school. He saw it happen, but there was no way he could stop it. He thought about getting the police, but he was afraid to leave her, so he followed her car. Each time the man in the back seat reached up to overpower her, the driver of the truck turned on his high beams. Then the man dropped down, afraid that someone might see him. Ba-ba! Hi. Long number name. Did I die? No? Dogu? More? Well, please don't kill anyone in my home. I know you wouldn't kill me. Right? Scary. My goodness. It's just a joke. More is joking. More would never kill anyone because killing is bad. Unless it's in Minecraft. Alright. That one was high beams. I've definitely heard that one over and over again. I feel like everyone's told a story similar to that one. At sleepovers and stuff. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I think I can reach him. I think I can finally reach him. I wanted to read footsteps. Right? Where is footsteps? 1 second. Yes, found it. Okay, footsteps. Then I will talk about a sleep paralysis experience I had. Very creepy. How about some tea? Every time I drink tea. Okay. Liz was doing her homework at the dining room table. Her younger sister Sarah was asleep upstairs. Their mother was out, but she was expected back any minute. When the front door opened and shut, Liz called, "Hello, Mama," but her mother didn't answer, and the footsteps Liz heard were heavier like a man's. "Who's there?" she called. No one replied. She heard whoever it was walk through the living room, then up the stairs to the second floor. The footsteps moved from one bedroom to another. Again, Liz called, "Who's there?" The footsteps stopped. And then she thought, "Oh my God, Sarah's in her bedroom!" And she ran upstairs to Sarah's room. Only Sarah was there, and she was asleep. Liz looked in the other rooms, but found no one. She went back down to the dining room, scared out of her wits. She heard the footsteps again soon. They were coming down the stairs and into the living room, and now they went into the kitchen. Then the door between the kitchen and dining room slowly began to open. "Get out!" Liz screamed. The door slowly closed. The footsteps moved out of the kitchen, through the living room, toward the front door. The door opened and shut. Liz ran to the window to see who it was, but no one was in sight, nor were there any footprints in the fresh snow that had been falling. That's that one. While I was reading, the guy got away again. Aww. Okay. This is trickier than I thought. Right, okay. Sleep paralysis time. So my room has this corner, which currently has a bunch of stuff in it, because I'm scared of the corner. And here's why I'm scared of the corner. The corner is also the same place where a hand grabbed something from my brother that I didn't grab. The thing I just said a little while ago. And also one time I was sitting at the edge of my bed and someone flipped my ponytail, but there was no one there and my back was facing the corner. So I'm assuming the corner flipped my ponytail. I'm looking at the corner. I'm looking away from the corner. So I get sleep paralysis a lot. More frequently than I think I should get it. My rat, I hope it wasn't flirting with me. I do not want to be with this thing. I get it usually twice a month. But, there are some times when, I don't know, maybe my stress level is high or my sleep is so bad that I get it, like, every night that I try to sleep for a week straight. So, I sometimes just don't like sleeping because I don't want to feel that, you know? Well, okay, so, sometimes the sleep paralysis starts off from a dream, and then it goes into the paralysis, and this was one of those times. And the dreams are always very mundane, normal dreams that make me not even realize that I'm dreaming. And this one, I was on the floor on my laptop, which is normal, because I like to lay on the ground, you know? It was very normal. I was doing it maybe even like a few hours before I fell asleep. I was sitting there on my laptop and I had my mouse plugged in. It's a wired mouse. And I finally realized that I was in a dream when I looked over at the mouse and, hold on, I need to breathe a little. And then I saw the mouse being dragged towards the corner by itself. And that's when I realized that I was in a dream. At that point, I usually try to, like, calm myself down and wake up, because then I know what's going to happen next. I look up towards the mouse, and, there's this, like, black shape, like a shadow, hunched down. It's all crouched down, in a very creepy way that I did not like. At this point, I separated from my dream self and woke up my body, but I was still looking at the dream me that was sitting on the floor, right? So there were two of us. Me on the bed in my body, knowing that I was there, and then I saw the dream me still lying on the floor by the computer. And that person, they were looking at the thing, and I was looking at them, not really looking at the thing because I didn't want to look at the thing. Hold on. It's still scary. Suddenly the thing, like, gets up, and it's got a smiley face, like a cartoonish smiley face, like 2 dots and a little smile on its head. Or where its head should be, I think. It wasn't really, like, a defined human shape. It didn't really have, like, a neck and head. But, like, you know, the top of the top upper shape had a smiley face. And, it, like, crawled on the wall, and then crawled across the bookshelf, and then it, knocked, like, at this point, the dream me that I was looking at, she got up, and was, like, trying to walk out the door, and it, like, pounced, and, like, knocked her to the ground, and I'm totally misgendering myself. It pounced and knocked them to the ground, and then it jumped onto me. And then the usual sleep paralysis stuff occurs where you feel like a weight on your chest, and, like, you can't breathe. And, I can't, it's hard to, like, move. So I couldn't close my eyes. And I could barely look away from it. Anyways, yeah. And it came from the corner. And then some weird things happen from the corner from time to time. So, I don't know. It's just not a good corner. But what's weird is, like, my room is brand newly made, I mean. Like, my dad made it not that many years ago. Yeah, my dad just made my room because we're Mexican like that. So, like, it's not like this room has dark history. I mean, like, the darkest history is, like, when I threw up on the floor after Christmas. That's, like, the most horrible thing that happened here. I guess maybe the garage could have history. Because it used to be a garage. And now I live here. I live in a garage. Yeah. That's the sleep paralysis involving the corner. It's not the first time I've seen myself in a dream either. And it's kind of weird. Sometimes when I'm dreaming and I realize that I'm dreaming, I'll, like, leave the dream body and then be my regular body, but still watch myself, like doppelganger stuff. I'm very afraid of doppelgangers, and I think maybe this is why. I'm laughing because I'm scared. Hold on. I think my oida. I'll be sure to like crop out that story time and then post it separately for anybody that wants to read about scary sleep paralysis stuffs. Alright, since I'm out of time for the event, or I'm out of dice, maybe that'd be a good time to end the stream. Though I'll do a few daily stuff first, and we'll just chat a little. Yeah, sleep paralysis. Okay. Has anyone else had sleep paralysis quite as scary like that? I get them. That's not even the worst one, too, my dudes. It's alright. I'm used to it enough that I can live with it, you know? I mean, maybe not like thriving, you know, insomnia and all that, but I can live with it. And it makes great stories, so that's good. Again, I really don't think there's anything paranormal about sleep paralysis, because I hope there's not. Oh no. No, yeah, it's so bad when sleep paralysis thing that you see is someone you know. That's not cool at all. Like, one time I was having like, whoops, let me go back here. I have the auditory ones a lot. The auditory hallucinations for sleep paralysis a lot. And I could hear my brother's voice calling me from the other room. But I know it was definitely not him, because he wasn't even home that night. He was out with his friends. But it was like my brother's voice calling me. Very creepy. Another time I've seen my brother, a different brother. I have a bajillion brothers. One of my little brothers, I saw his headless body walk into the room and then walk out. Love that one. Very good. It's hard to like define between the nightmares and the sleep paralysis, but I usually consider it paralysis when I'm like awake, I guess. But I do get very vivid nightmares that feel real too. Poor Fang. Maybe they'd be cooler if like I'd have a sleep paralysis dream about like a pretty lady. I think I was about to say something really stupid. I'm not gonna say it. No, why not? I'll say it. I think I wouldn't mind being... No, I can't say this. If it was a pretty lady, I wouldn't mind if she strangled me a little bit. But not in a weird way. Of course it sounds like it's a weird, but I mean like, at least she's pretty. Anyways, moving on. Rat no. Alright. Trippin'. I'm not trippin'. It's just dream stuff. And you know what? I am 100% sober, okay, when I have these weird dreams. It's not any substance. My brain just makes this stuff naturally. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. You know what? Let me tell one more messed up dream thing. Oh yeah, Hasebe. Hi. I didn't realize that he was my aide. Usually it's Tomoe. What are you doing here? Oh yeah, because I'm using Tomoe in the event. Okay, one more weird dream thing. And it's doppelganger related. But I just hit the mic. I'm sorry if you heard a scratching sound. Okay. So I think this was kind of like an out-of-body experience, if you want to call it something like that. It was another one of those mundane dreams. And this one, I was just walking through the house. It was dark. I was walking down the hallway. I go into my room and I see myself sleeping in my bed. And for some reason, I was really angry about it. I don't get to choose how I feel in dreams. You know, sometimes it just happens. And I was just so mad that I strangled myself. Or I just started strangling myself. And then I woke up because I felt something squeezing my neck. And I woke up gasping for air. Yeah. That happened. Did I almost accidentally kill myself? Did I almost accidentally strangle my living body while having an out-of-body experience? Who knows? It could just be like sleep paralysis will make you hallucinate not just sounds and visions, but also feelings. So, and, yeah, maybe there's nothing paranormal about it. Because I'd be scared if it was. I am shivering so bad right now. Alright. The scary stories from the books weren't enough, so I had to bring you the horrors from my mind. Mwah! Don't say I never did nothing for you, okay? You know what? In fact, I'm going to read another scary story to calm myself down. We'll end with my favorite one to tell, because I used to do stupid, silly voices to this one. So, give me a minute to just, like, shake myself out. No joke. Earlier this week, I was thinking so much about alba cake. I don't even know why. But this week, I was just like, God, remember alba cake? And I looked it up, and I was just staring at a picture of it for like 15 minutes. How did you know I was thinking about alba cake? You know what? Let's go find that guy. Gotta love alba cake. We'll leave it here, and I'll read the last story. The Ghost with the Bloody Fingers. A businessman arrived at a hotel late one night and asked for a room. The room clerk told him that the hotel was all filled up. There is one empty room, he said, but we don't rent that one because it's haunted. I'll take it, said the businessman. I don't believe in ghosts. The man went up to the room. He unpacked his things and he went to bed. As soon as he did, a ghost came out of the closet. Its fingers were bleeding, and it was moaning, "Bloody fingers, bloody fingers." When the man saw the ghost, he grabbed his things and ran. The next night, a woman arrived very late. Again, all the rooms were taken except the haunted room. "I'll sleep there," she said. "I'm not afraid of ghosts." As soon as she got into the bed, the ghost came out of the closet. Its fingers were still bleeding. It was still moaning, "Bloody fingers, bloody fingers." And the woman took one look and ran. A week later, another guest arrived very late. He also took the haunted room. As soon as he unpacked, he got out his guitar and he began to play. Soon, the ghost appeared. As before, its fingers were bleeding and it was moaning, "Bloody fingers, bloody fingers." The man paid no attention. He just kept strumming his guitar, but the ghost kept moaning and its fingers kept bleeding. Finally, the guitar player looked up. "Cool it, man," he said. "Get yourself a Band-Aid." And that's that one. Oh, someone said they like my voice. Thank you. I got a bajillion voices. I can make you any voice you want. Trying to see some bloody. My fingers be bloody after I spent 5 hours trying to draw the same piece of anatomy and realizing it still looks terrible. Ah. enjoyed this stream. It was fun. I like reading scary stories. I've always liked it. Ever since I was a wee baby at sleepovers. I want to write up my own ghost stories and tell them sometime. Because there's like a bajillion different versions of La Llorona, but I want to write my own. But I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'll be uploading the VOD to YouTube, and if you want to re-listen to some parts, that's fine. I'm gonna try and clip out the sleep paralysis part and upload that separately. My YouTube, I think, is linked, but if not, it's WitchCo, WITCHKO. It's actually WitchKO, you know, like a fighting game. But everybody says WitchCo, so WitchCo. I don't really have any news. I bought an LOL doll with my adult money. I'm gonna open that up and I'm gonna enjoy it. It was fun. Thank you for coming. Sleep tight. Don't have any nightmares. And remember to be nice to Harold, or he will not be nice to you. Mwah! If you subscribe to my channel, I will send you 5 ghosts. Wait, unless you don't want them, then I will exorcise 5 ghosts from your immediate area. That's the ad, yeah. I'm not an exorcist, but I might as well be one. Because